Awesome. So, Lee, a very warm welcome to the Norfolk Chef series, where we are showcasing and highlighting Norfolk restaurants. And we'd like to just start with understanding that you've trained and worked in some very well-renowned kitchens throughout your career so far. What first drew you into professional cooking, and how have those experiences led you to your current role at 1812?
Like most chefs, my first job was kitchen porter, and that was all right. I just did that for money, and I was at Norwich City College training to be a chef, and a group of my friends went to eat at Maze by Jason Atherton at the time.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what a Michelin-star restaurant was. I barely had any idea who Gordon Ramsay was, to be honest. And when I went and ate there, I was just like blown away. I was like, holy shit, people do this. Like, there was so many staff, there was so many young chefs running around. The food, like, I just couldn't believe it. I was not really an adventurous eater either. I had like a tuna and swordfish carpaccio. Whoa. And I remember just being like, people actually eat swordfish. Like, this is a thing. I just couldn't believe it. And then after that, when I came back to Norfolk, I was like, right, this is something I'm actually really interested in. Fantastic. I started buying more books by chefs, and then eventually I started looking at, like better places to work. And then, after a couple of years, I was like, right, it's ready to go into a Michelin-star kitchen. I found one. I got fired. And I'm not surprised. I was absolutely terrible. And I guess I just got really lucky. The bug got me because I was devastated from being fired. But after I went back, I was like, right, okay, it's a lot harder than I thought. Which set me up for like my next stint. I just came back to Norwich, got some more experience. And then I was really lucky to work at L'Enclume, where I managed to escape by for 4 years without getting fired.
Wow.
I think I might have been threatened to be fired once or twice, but I didn't actually get fired. Obviously, and like there, it's just, it was when I was there, and it still is now, like such a inspiration to like young chefs. So, and then I sort of continued from there, really.
It's an incredible, exciting journey that you've been on in your career so far, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think I'm really lucky because, maybe I haven't done it all perfectly, but a lot of things that I've set out to do, I've done. So like when I was at L'Enclume, I was like, right, I want to save like all my money, and I want to work abroad. So I worked in quite a few restaurants abroad, which was really good. And I ended up spending like 3 years in Belgium, working at a 2-Michelin restaurant there, which was just mind-blowing. The whole lifestyle, the pace of work, the hours were grueling. And then I was lucky enough to work in London for Matt Abbey, which was a stunning experience.
So you've had the opportunity to take an outback.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and even like, sometimes when you're in these situations or in these places of work, you don't realise what you're learning until you step out of it, and then you're like, wow, that was an experience. And then I was lucky enough to work at Meadowsweet, which is in Holt down the road for Greg and Rebecca. And I think that really does sort of shine a light on how Norfolk is doing, because I would say like working there really taught me the meaning of hospitality. They've got a lot of how to work as a chef in other places, like how to be organised, how to be disciplined, how to season, how to things like that. But at Meadowsweet, it was really like, we serve the guests in the restaurant, how to treat each other as staff members, how to feed each other as staff members, how to really cook to eat and enjoy the whole experience. And that's something that in all those places over the world I went, that's something that I solely saw and learned at Meadowsweet, which was incredible.
It sounds like a very holistic, service-led experience. So it's like, It's not just, the food is very important, clearly, but it's very much like how individuals feel, both that are working there and also the guests.
I think like it's the first time I've worked anywhere where I was in tune with the whole experience of the guest, rather than just like, this is my section, this is what I got to do, don't fuck it up, or someone's going to be on me.
It's natural for most organisations to operate in those kind of silos, because, in lots of situations, you have to, for the sake of efficiency and speed of service, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And then it's just, in that respect, it's just totally different in Meadowsweet. Like, you have to, they really understand what guests want, and that as like a young chef to learn. I think that was something I didn't realise I was learning at the time, and coming to open this place, I was like, oh wow, all those things I've learned about actually
have an impact.
Have an impact. Yeah, I think it's made me a lot better knowing or looking for what the guest wants here.
And that actually moves on nicely to our next question as well. So your menus place a real emphasis on seasonality, locality and refinement. How do you describe your sort of philosophy and what guides your decisions when you move through your menus?
So I try and use a lot of small purveyors and producers, and really that just ends up then sort of dictating what is on the menu, kind of whether I like it or not. Sometimes you're like, if this is good right now, you've got to use it right now, which kind of makes it a bit easier. And I guess like putting the menu together myself for the first time really made me realize what I've seen that I really liked, because you'll be writing a dish and you'll be like, oh yeah, I'll use that recipe or that technique or that way, and you find them sort of techniques repeating like on your ideas, and I think that's how now I'm sort of developing like my own style with what the purveyors bring to me.
And has that been quite an intimidating experience for you, or have you actually really enjoyed doing that for the first time yourself?
Oh, it's been so hard. Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm getting better, but like creativity is like, I think everyone has it, and it's something I'm really working on. But I'm not naturally someone that sits down and starts scribbling like 1,000 ideas. I really need to look at what I want to do, how I want it to go in the menu. Will that sit right? Or that, which I'm sure every chef does. But I knew I was going to struggle with it. But obviously with everything else on top of that as well, like, yeah, it's been really hard. I enjoy it, but it's super hard.
And again, that follows on nicely to our next question. So you've kind of brought fine dining and modern British cooking into this very small corner of Norfolk. What do you think the benefits are or advantages of operating within a very small setting like the Gordons?
At the moment, so our reputation is almost non-existent because we've just opened. This is only our 3rd month, and the location, it's a challenge. It really is. But in my mind, I know that when we change the reputation, when we change the story of the restaurant, the location is going to be its like selling point. Absolutely. Like, it's on the river, it's a beautiful location. You can go for so many nice walks around here after your meal. We've got space for people to sit outside. There's plenty of parking. There's plenty of lovely Airbnbs. Yeah, there's loads of Airbnbs to stay around here. So I know, like, in a couple of years, the story will be completely different. Everyone will be saying, like, what an amazing location. I can't believe you've got a restaurant there. You're so lucky. Da, 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 da. But what they won't see is, like, the hours now where we're like, oh my God, there's no one coming to the restaurant. What are we going to do? And it's just a battle at the moment to, organize it and get it set between, like, Fridays and Saturdays are good, Wednesdays are difficult, Thursdays are okay. And on the odd Wednesday, it's full, so everyone's got to run around and organise for that. But yeah, the location's really going to I think it's only going to get better with our story. Yeah, exactly. And I think Norfolk is really, like, I'm not the only one doing it, which gives me a lot of faith that it can be done,
You also mentioned that you have that focus or relationship now with producers as well. So is that something that you're able to build more on, being in that rural setting compared to in the city? So, building those relationships with
I think so. I think I kind of get the impression from the suppliers, they quite like it. They quite like a little underdog out the way, tucked away. They come out here, they look around, they're like, oh my God, it's beautiful. And you tell them the story, and it feels like they're behind you, feels like they're with you, which is something I've got to say. It's like, I didn't expect that. You just think they come out here and they're like, yeah, we'll sell you something. But they really, I speak to them on the phone a lot, and they're really, like, all interested in how we're doing, that they all help, A couple of times you're like, oh, I haven't really got minimum order, and they're like, no, it's okay, we understand. I feel like they almost trust the process as much as I do.
And I think also it's really great to have that kind of community spirit between producers and restaurants, because they want to see you succeed, don't they? Not just for your own benefit, but for the benefit of the community, because the more facilities and restaurants and places there are to go to, and stronger the community becomes as a result of that. So
yeah, exactly.
Carefully sourced ingredients, local producers, and a skilled team comes with investments. So how are you finding balancing the practical pressures of costs with your commitment to excellence?
Yeah.
So far.
it's really really difficult.
Do you have any advice for others that are in a similar sort of position?
I mean, just really watch what you're ordering, build slowly, and that's all we do. And we really just keep on top of it. Like nothing.
You're very considered.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing can go to waste anymore. I mean, we're so lucky because we do set tasting menus, so we know the amount of guests we've got, and that really helps us keep our cost like in line. We know exactly what we're doing, and we make sure that everything is used. The less we spend on washing up liquid, blue roll, bin bags, sponges, the more we can spend on food. Yeah, like the more we can spend on food, the more the restaurant has to spend on food, the better the guest experience is going to be, the more they're going to be willing to pay for it. And it, but obviously with the economy being the way it is, the kitchen's really limited. So yeah, all them other things really have to be watched out for. Yeah, exactly.
That's great advice. Brilliant advice. And so, was it when you decided on the menu approach? Did you have that stuff in mind when you were thinking, actually, this is what we want instead of an a la carte sort of setup?
Yeah, it's to be honest, it's mostly everywhere I've worked has always done a tasting menu, and yeah, you play to your strengths, and it's what I know. It's what
and it's what diners enjoy as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's popular at the moment, and it's how I enjoy to cook. It can change a lot all the time at any moment, so I enjoy that aspect of it. Yeah.
And yes, a similar question to be fair. So you've worked in kitchens during periods of major change like COVID. From guest expectations to the economic pressures. Have you noticed any shifts in diner habits or customers' behaviour, and has this changed your approach to cooking?
Yeah, it really has. I mean, now customers aren't drinking as much, and I'm almost certain that that's going to go full circle. I'm sure. Yeah, I think I think it will, especially and working in the pubs. I noticed that after COVID, everyone just became a little bit better at cooking. So you've really got, you really do need to put a lot of effort into what you're serving people, because maybe before people weren't so switched on, people were busier. A lot of people now have spent their time cooking. They know how to bake. That it's not that they just can cook a good roast. Like they can make banana bread over banana bread over banana bread, or everyone can make sourdough and sourdough and sourdough. You need to watch what because people are kind of switched on to a bit more switched on to what they're getting now, I think. So yeah, I'd say the guest is a little bit more
savvy.
Yeah, exactly. You get a lot of people in the restaurant talking to you about, do you sous vide, do you roast in the pan, how many hours do you prep your sourdough for, and all these things which never really sort of used to happen. So, and they catch you off guard.
Yeah. Surprised. And I think also there seems to be this kind of like health movement as well, where people want to understand the origins of where their food has come from, and whether it's organic or whether it's this.
Yeah, so there's a really big push, especially with the younger generation, and they want to eat, I guess, more healthy, which I think like in a Michelin star, not that we are a Michelin star kitchen, but in Michelin star kitchens that I've worked in, and fine dining restaurants, like, it is, I would say, it's kind of naturally lends itself to being, especially now that they've sort of done a U-turn on butter. So we're kind of safe there now that is a healthy fat, everyone. So, now we've got that, like, we're sort of, because we're basing things about this. Here at the restaurant, we don't use any processed sugar, because the owner, Julian, specializes in diabetes. So one of the things he wanted was that we use no processed sugar. So we do use a lot of natural sugar, like honey and things like that are okay. And we use a couple of sugar substitutes. We're sort of careful which ones we do use. So it's not that we don't have like sweet things in the restaurant, we do. But like, you think that that's going to be a really big challenge. Actually, I don't know. There's not many restaurants I've worked in where before dessert I've put sugar in anything anyway. And, a lot of the processes are quite clean.
So fine dining often carries misconceptions, whether around formality, accessibility, or what guests can expect from the experience. From your perspective, what are the biggest misconceptions that people have about fine dining restaurants?
There's loads. One, I think the major one being that maybe that we don't have fun. I think it's quite, people think that you come in here, can't take your jacket off. If you don't have a tie on, I'm going to start kicking everyone out. Like, make sure your chair's tucked in. And I've never, like, even I've been to some of the like best restaurants in the world. I've never not laughed my whole way through the meal with the waiter. I've never not enjoyed everything. So there is that. Affordability is one. So some, there's plenty of fine dining restaurants out there that are affordable in the sense of you get paid, you have the money to go. Those that aren't, when you save and go there, the value you get for what you spend is incredible.
That's awesome. And I completely agree in the sense that what we've learned in speaking to chefs in Norfolk is that hospitality aspect of fine dining, the fact that it's so important. And then it is that misconception that there's this kind of stuffy atmosphere or the sterile nature, and it's the furthest from the truth in the sense that you're there and it's like a warm hug experience, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Both the service and the food. That's really nice. And so what continues to motivate you day to day in the kitchen, and how do you define success either from a personal or a restaurant perspective?
Big question. I guess it's changed. It's changed over the years. And when I first started, like when I was at L'Enclume, when I first started there, the aim was to not get fired again. And then the aim becomes a bit more, to be like the best person on your section, and then, to be like, okay, my motivation, and that is your daily motivation. You wake up and you think you're on the ladder, and at one point you wake up and you think, right, my motivation today is just get promoted to the meat section. And that was kind of my motivation. And then the same in other restaurants I've worked at. At Meadow Sweet, my motivation really started to change there. I really started to look at like who I was as a chef. How did I want to be perceived? And I think I had such great admiration for Greg and how he came across, and that got me thinking a little bit more to change it like that. And I guess like that motivation just builds.
It's a journey.
Into like my daily habits. I mean, at the moment, my motivation is getting up, coming here, getting everything done, and making sure that everyone walks through the door is like, goes home and says, wow, have you been to restaurant 1812? Because it was amazing.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for answering all our questions, and best of luck with restaurant 1812.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.